What excites you about the opportunity to be part of the last chapter of this building?
For one, mushrooms are like symbolic of something decaying and coming to an end, and then like fruiting and making new life out of death, which is pretty cool. And it always excites me to like paint something on a surface that I know is going to be painted over, destroyed, because it feels like you just give up total control, and you like give birth to something that you know is not going to be there in a few months. And I think like that in itself is really beautiful. And I think that it's really cool that the space is going to be transformed, that it's going to be like an event space in the future for artists and people to gather. And so by like putting our energy into this building, I think it like really lays kind of a foundation for all the future events and gatherings and energy.
Tell me a bit about what came to mind when you heard that we'd be exploring the theme of myth.
We talked through a few ideas, but the first thing that really came up was, something that's quite present being so close to the lake, which is this myth that everything's okay, climate change isn't a problem. We're in this really exciting time where Lake Ontario is being cleaned up, access to it is improving, there's more parkland along the lake, but then at the same time, Lake Ontario is actually listed as a lake in decline, and it has a health rating of D, and it's very, very polluted. There are actually some quite serious pollution problems dating back to the days when the steel industry was much more active. So, I think the idea that we have that Toronto has a healthy relationship with its lake and that, the lake is doing all right is the myth that we wanted to confront.
Given our proximity to the lake, it feels like sort of the most resonant subject, and especially with these windows and a view of the airport. I think we're living at a time where the city is like growing and expanding, and it is trying to have this very like idealistic relationship with the lake. And what Kirsten's pointing out is that, beneath the surface of the water, the lake's relationship with us is not going so well.
There's a few very specific things about this particular spot. My first memory when I was very young of coming down here on my own, and I'm from like the Junction area. So when I was a kid, when the city seemed so huge, I remember coming down here and it was another world. It was the first time I realized how big the city was, or I thought the city was massive when I came here, and I thought it was in a whole other dimension. Take most people's artwork as their own creation, their own story, their own myth, especially if they keep some sort of anonymity. So I think that's what excited me the most, is I can create something that enjoy but might not necessarily know the artist or the meaning behind the work.
Tell me a bit about how myths of your childhood or culture affect your work.
Well, definitely as growing up, my dad would take us to places and bring a bit of Ireland with him. He used to, take us to ruins and say there were fairies there and giants and other creatures and things like that. So there was always kind of like these two worlds interacting with each other, which I think is a very Irish thing. And so that's just how I grew up and how I almost see the world as an artist, just trying to, lift the veil a little bit with what I paint.
And tell me about your piece here.
So this is actually one of the more well-known Irish myths. Every child gets told this before bed. It's the Children of Lear. So in short, it's an interpretation of the story in which a queen ended up turning her stepchildren into swans for 900 years. But I chose here to kind of focus on the moment of transformation and Aoife, which is the name of the queen herself, and kind of have that play between her and the swans.
This building has been here for decades. What does it mean to be part of this next chapter as the building transforms into something new?
It's honoring and it's kind of beautiful. It's like it's like a goodbye to the state of things as they used to be for 80 plus years. It's very interesting, and the way we can like disrespect the building, building something new. Like we were like literally covering glasses. Everything is like we were able to do whatever we wanted, like disrespecting the usual way to behave into an institutional building. Mm-hmm. And that was pretty like exciting, interesting, and like empowering somehow as an artist. You were like able to have this space that used to be has to have some kind of glory in the past, and now you're able to rebuild stuff the way you want it.